ImotekhThe Stormlord. How does his strategic mind compare to the Silent King? Which factions within the Imperium are concerned with him? Which Black Templar does he have a feud with? Friends, let's find out, and welcome to another 40k video. We draw on the Necron 5th edition codex, then speculate at the end what stories and adversaries Imotech might face. Nemesor Imotekh awoke from the great sleep to find his tomb world in disarray. Mandragora had survived the aeons mostly intact, only to fall foul of unrestrained ambition. The Crown World's Pharaoh had been one of the few to perish during hibernation, and once they had quashed immediate alien threats, the remaining nobles had moved to seize the throne. A decade of civil war followed, with no faction able to gain victory. During this time, the revivification of high-ranking nobles was suspended, as neither side wished to awaken further competitors. Had the situation continued, Imotech would likely have slumbered until the civil war had torn Mandragora apart. As it was, one of the pretenders struck upon the idea of recruiting the famous general to his cause. With such a supporter in thrall, victory could not fail to be his. However, and this is one of the first few moments that makes me like this guy, when Imotech awoke, he was both enraged and appalled at the anarchy about him. Realizing that Mandragora's only hope of restoration lay in the civil war ending as swiftly as possible, he refused to support either faction. Instead, Imotech marshaled an army of his own, destroyed the chief antagonists, and claimed Mandragora's throne for himself. The newly crowned Pharaoh thereafter forbade any form of infighting within his realm, declaring such activities to be a waste of time, effort, and resource. This law was ill-observed at first, but swiftly became the norm, once Imotech had proven his willingness to make terminal examples of those who flouted his authority. Between this rule of iron and a swift string of military successes against nearby worlds, Imotech's position soon became unassailable. Indeed, to this day, his only true rival is the famed Nemesor Zandrek of the Crown World of Gidrim, but the old general's loyalty is as unquestionable as his wits are addled, so he is of little threat. Now, what we know of Imotech is that he is a grand strategist, perhaps the most accomplished the galaxy has ever known. His campaigns operate not only on conflicts across worlds, but across entire star systems and sectors. When Imotech launches an attack, it is impossible to discern if it is the main thrust of his strategy or simply a decoy raid crafted to bleed enemy reinforcements away from a battle yet to come. All such assaults are carefully weighed to overwhelm enemy forces already in place, requiring the foe to either sacrifice his troops or reinforce them, and Imotech's plans are always many stages ahead, set to take advantage of either course. Indeed, the Stormlord's battle plans are incredibly versatile, seeded with feint attacks, counter strategies, and other contingencies, enacted automatically should certain circumstances be triggered or thresholds crossed. To outside observers, there is something about Imotech that's almost mystical. His methodology is flawless. How can he anticipate the unseen otherwise? Yet in truth, there is nothing more at play here than the careful application of probabilities and logic, combined with a canny understanding of the foe's mindset. So, impeccable are the logical patterns behind the Stormlord's strategies, that the only way a foe can truly gain meaningful advantage is to abandon all logic themselves, something that most enemies find incredibly difficult to do. But orcish anarchy achieves this as naturally as breathing. Thus does the Stormlord's hate towards orcs be above any hate he holds for all the other lesser races of the galaxy. For no matter how hard he tries, he rarely wins a lasting victory over the rabblesome greenskin. Yet lasting victories against the orcs there must be, for Imotech's goal is nothing less than to wipe them from the face of the galaxy. The Stormlord is unshakable in his belief that only when the galaxy is washed clean with the blood of inferior beings will Necrons dominate again and rise anew. As Pharaoh of the Sotek dynasty, Imotech can draw upon incredible resources, for the armies of the entire dynasty are his to requisition as needed. Yet the Stormlord knows that the foe, all other sentient life, is too numerous for victory to be won through force of arms alone. Thus, for Imotech, terror is a weapon as potent as any in the Necron arsenal, and one he employs to full effect. His armies advance under the cover of storm-blackened skies, emerald lightning bolts arcing out from heavy clouds to wreak carnage amongst the foe. Enemy armies that advance into the shadow of the storm are simply swallowed up, cut off from all contact whilst the battle lasts. Any warriors that escape from the maelstrom's clutches do so only to sow panic, fear and dismay amongst their comrades. Worse, some such survivors are implanted with blood-swarm nanoscarabs, whose gore-warm scent acts as an irresistible beacon for roaming packs of flayed ones. Now, the Stormlord is very strong in strategy, but he has one weakness. It is a prideful need to display his superiority over those enemy commanders foolish enough to stand against him. High-ranking enemies are often set free upon their defeats, so that they will have to live with the knowledge of their inadequacy. This is a lesson invariably reinforced by physical mutilation, a severed limb normally being the favoured method. Yet with every battle, these surviving foes learn a little more of the Stormlord's methods, and the best of them only become more determined to see his campaigns ended once and for all. High Marshal Helbrecht of the Black Templars, in particular, has run the Stormlord close on more than one occasion, though victory thus far has escaped his grasp. During the siege of Schrödinger 7, Imotekh says to Marshal Helbrecht, "You have ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years, yet have little of account to show for your effort. Such failure must be as depressing to hear as it is pathetic to behold." The fact that Imotekh suffers from such a personal form of martial hubris stands in stark contrast to the analytical and emotionless detachment he displays when planning and conducting campaigns. It is possible that stasis-induced eccentricity is to blame, but for which trait? Is Imotekh a master strategist whose engramic damage spurs him to seek personal glory, or a bellicose warrior granted strategic genius through an accident of fate? In the end, it does not matter. If Imotech's defeat comes, it is sure not to be at the hands of a superior strategist, but rather at the hands of a more accomplished warrior, and there will be many opportunities for such a downfall. Imotech's domain is growing at a rate unparalleled amongst the Necron dynasties. 80 tomb worlds lie under his regal command, and 5 times as many alien-held planets pay direct or indirect tribute. The number of alien civilizations Imotech destroyed during his campaigns cannot easily be counted. Such a realm is as nothing when compared to the galaxy spanning Imperium or the Necron dynasties at the height of their glory, but is nonetheless impressive for the work of a mere 200 years. Such expansion has come at a price, though, and Imotech's dynasty is now starting to come to the notice of several other realms. On Macragge, reports of Necron activity beyond Ultramar's northern borders have reached the attention of Marneus Calgar, and of course, with the most recent development, Roboute Guilliman, Yandan's Farseers have sensed the peril before their craft world that is, in its way, as great a threat as the tyrannid menace that lies behind. Rumours of a sinister power on the march have reached even the Tau Empire, though as ever, their prevailing interpretation is one of opportunity rather than threat. It is only a matter of time before the Sortek dynasty comes into direct conflict with these other realms, and if forced to war with 2 or more at the same time, Imotech's genius will surely be tested. I just want to mention one bit of war gear that Imotech uses. It's dubbed the Staff of the Destroyer. This ancient and ornamental staff of light was first wielded by Zehet, founder of the Sortek dynasty, and has been seen in battle in the hands of every one of his successors. The staff can unleash a searing beam of unbelievably destructive pan-dimensional energy. Once triggered, the Staff of the Destroyer takes some time to rebuild its charge. Now for the speculative part of the video. I'd like to say 2 things about the Stormlord. I think he has potential as an interesting character for the Necrons, and for my interest in them. Recently I read the Traiton the Infinite novel, short stories with him as well by Robert Rath, along with the Twice Dead King duology. For me, they both set a bar in terms of making the Necrons compelling, interesting characters with quirks, where before they didn't mean too much to me. So I think Imotech could benefit from something similar. So let's say that's the case, and he gets a novel. What could he do? 2 directions stand out, and perhaps they could be combined into one. Helbrecht, another confrontation with him, with flashbacks to their particular encounters before, and Imotech's rivalry with the Silent King. It's not mentioned here, but clearly these are 2 rising powers within the 40k galaxy and might come to blows. And then, of course, we have many other 40k factions that have made note of the growing threat of Imotech the Stormlord. So there is potential in that thread as well. And finally, think of cold and calculating strategists he could go up against. How about a returned lion? Now, let me know what you think on that idea. Does Imotech deserve a book? I know there'll be a lot of other favoured characters in front of him, but we can all have a wish. Did the lore, in fact, make you intrigued enough to want to know more about him? Comment down below.